A good look westbound on the 520 bridge as the Mariners' opening homestand of the 2025 campaign continues. Fresh off a series split against the Athletics tonight, the American League Central comes to town, a postseason team from last year. The Detroit Tigers make their way to Seattle and begin a three-game series. It's the Mariners and the Tigers right here on Root Sports. Glad to have you with us as always. Aaron Goldsmith alongside Ryan Rowland-Smith. Ryan, four-game split against the Athletics. I'm sure the Mariners would like to take that series. The offense was not great. The starting pitching was solid. The back of the bullpen was very good.
Yeah, 41 strikeouts for this team, and you think back to 2024 and some of the improvements and the philosophy hitting. We saw a little bit of that, but we did see some late inning heroics, late in the game, the first game, and then to finish it off yesterday.
There's no question about that. Well, the Tigers come to town. This was a team that finished one game better than the Mariners last year. The Mariners lost 5 of 6 to the Tigers last year. A young team. They've got some big arms that we'll see in their rotation over these 3 games. They've got high hopes for October again.
Yeah, they do, and they should. I mean, a lot of energy at the end of last year. We know about the comeback. We're going to talk more about that as this game goes on. One of the biggest turnarounds in Major League Baseball history. But you mentioned some of the young players, and again, of course, Jackson Jobe tonight pitching against the Mariners.
Yeah, we'll be seeing triple digits from the young rookie starting pitcher for the Tigers. Well, back to yesterday, our Northwest Chevy Silverado drive of the game. It was the big swing of the day on both sides. Julio reaching the second deck, a game-winning home run.
Yeah, and this was huge, by the way, getting all the way up, climbing those bleachers for Julio Rodriguez. Keep in mind, it took him 23 games to get his first home run last year, so good for him. Game number 4, getting in the home run column.
Emerson Hancock gets the ball tonight. He is making his season debut, the final Mariners starting pitcher to toe the slab. We'll talk about this very interesting starting pitching matchup when we come back on Root Sports. Mariners baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the Washington Traffic Safety Commission. Always drive sober and wear your seatbelt. We all play a role in keeping our roads safe. And by T-Mobile, with America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile is your ticket to the game. Cloudy night here in Seattle. Game 1, Mariners and the Tigers. It is our Western Washington Toyota Dealers pitching matchup. Jackson Jobe will go for the Tigers. Emerson Hancock making his season debut. We saw him in a very similar role to begin last year.
Yeah, we really did. I think it's a little bit different this year because everything he gained, you know, the confidence coming out of last year, and also too some of the pitches out of the sweeper to take on the righties, and I think too the changeup. It's been such a plus pitch for him. But the biggest thing with Emerson Hancock this year is putting hitters away. A real high contact percentage once he gets into deeper counts, and when he gets to good pitches counts, like in 2-strike counts, put these hitters away, get some more swing and miss.
So Emerson Hancock was the number 6th overall pick in the draft. Jackson Jobe was the number 3 overall pick in the draft. This is someone the Tigers feel is a major pillar in their future.
Yeah, it really is. And by the way, number 2 prospect behind Roku Sasaki when you're talking pitching prospect in Major League Baseball. We saw him get thrown into the fire, Aaron, last year. They went on that magical run. They wanted a young stud to come up. Jackson Jobe pitched in only 2 games, and then all of a sudden thrust into some of these big playoff games for the Detroit Tigers. So really excited to watch him. That fastball can hit triple digits. Worked on the curveball and the command this spring training. So curious to see how he looks in that rotation.
He has as many postseason appearances as regular season appearances in his young career. Tonight, his first ever Major League start. Tonight is day 1 of the 3-day Julio Bat Flip Bobble giveaway. First 10,000 fans. If you miss it tonight, you can catch it tomorrow or to you by PNC Bank, your MLB opening week presenting sponsor, brilliantly boring since 1865. And by your local Ford dealer, home of the F-150, America's best-selling truck for 48 years. A little bit of a cool night here in Seattle. Roof is closed. Temperature is dipping just under 50 degrees. The Mariners welcome to town the Detroit Tigers, fresh off a rare Sunday off day, looking for their first win of the season, coming off a sweep to the hands of the Dodgers in LA. Mariners have taken the field in their home whites, and what an opening series it was for Jorge Polanco. We know the struggles he had last year, his first season in Seattle, off-season knee surgery. What would he look like, both defensively and also, most importantly, at the plate? All he did is go 5 for 10, of course, with a game-winning home run on opening day, part of a 3-hit effort in the first game of the season. Polanco back at third base after a day off yesterday. Well, for All the great hitting that we saw from Polanco, we've seen equally bad luck for Randy Arozarena. He has just one hit. That was a game-tying home run on opening night. Look at this. This is the exit velocity chart for Arozarena so far this season through 4 games. You can't hit the ball much harder with much less to show for it than Randy Arozarena. All of his hard hit balls so far this season, and just one hit out of all of them. Maybe his luck turns beginning tonight. Emerson Hancock on the mound for the Mariners, former first-round draft pick out of Georgia, working on a sweeper over the offseason. We saw that new pitch debuted in spring training as well. A dozen starts in a Mariners uniform last season and an ERA at 4.75. He is a member of the rotation right now as George Kirby is on the injured list. Last year, he was part of the opening day rotation, spelling Brian Wu, who began the season on the IL. Well, this is a Tigers team that had a lot of traffic on the base paths in those 3 games against the Dodgers with nothing to show for it. Young leadoff man DH Justin Henry Malloy. Kerry Carpenter is one of a number of left-handed hitters in this Tigers lineup. Carpenter really slugs right-handers, and somebody that the Tigers have waited on to really bust out, and maybe this is the year. Spencer Torkelson, their former #1 overall draft pick at first base and batting cleanup. We're underway with the first pitch. Fouled away off the bat of Malloy for strike 1. Tell you what, Ryan, you look at those games for the Tigers against the defending champs. They were walked off once. They lost another game by 1 run to open up the season on the road at Dodger Stadium as they raised the banner. It was a sweep to the hands of the Dodgers, but the Tigers were very close. They could have easily gotten 1 or 2 of those games.
Yeah, you're right. And I think it came down to the battle of some of the bullpens, and obviously the LA Dodgers have that deep bullpen. World Series champions.
This is slugged out to the gap in right center field. Julio having a race after it. He can't get there. Short hops the fence and bounces to Robles, and Malloy leads off with a double that was pretty close to getting out.
And this is a pitch pretty much down the middle from Emerson Hancock. We talked about this in the open. They're generating a little bit more swing and miss. That doesn't mean he has to try and blow it by guys or get chase, but just be a little bit better as he gets deep into the count. Aaron, you mentioned the fact he opened up the season with the Seattle Mariners, just the 12 starts last year. And that was a big improvement towards the end of last year, but big focal point. You mentioned the 5 lefties. Might see that change up deep in these counts as well.
You think about teams that present the Mariners with tough matchups. Those teams, they seem like they're all in the American League Central. The teams with all the left-handed hitters. The Mariners have just 2 left-handed pitchers on their staff, so 13 pitchers total, and only 2 lefties. Carpenter out to right field, and Malloy getting waved in. It's bobbled by Robles. It does not result in an extra base for Carpenter, and Malloy was steaming home regardless. 2 batters into this thing, and it's 1-0 Tigers.
I know we're still a series removed from opening day, but Emerson Hancock, the nerves are still flying. This is what the Detroit Tigers do. They are aggressive. Jumping over pitches out over the middle from Emerson Hancock so far.
Here is Riley Green, their center fielder. Former top prospect, and he takes just off the plate for ball 1.
Is that changeup?
I'll be curious to see how much Emerson leans on that pitch. Last year, there was no batter that struck out more on changeups than Riley Green. But it's not just Green, right? It's the 5 left-handed hitters.
Yeah. And I think, too, what that does, coming into a game like this, and sometimes, all these guys in this rotation, really, with the Mariners, it was about, adding that pitch or tweaking that one pitch. And, for Emerson, we talked a lot about that sweeper. However, talking to Pete Woodworth, talking to Emerson about this, and that changeup has been plus ever since he was a prospect down in the minor leagues. And if you have that confidence with that pitch, and you get 5 lefties, it can just start to snowball a little bit and help you out. Even righties, lefties, mix that pitch into both.
Goes back to it again, fouled away by Green. Still 2-2. Number 3 hitting center fielder. Carpenter jumps towards second. The throw is in all kinds of time, and a tag by Crawford, and as Carpenter just ran into an out.
Yeah, that first out, the first thing goes without saying, but once you first start and they give you this out, you can take a breath, start to settle in. Just trying to time Emerson Hancock up to the plate.
We are having some technical difficulties with our regular scorebug. We have this one up in the meantime, working on it.
There you go.
It's a 3-2 count to Riley Green. Bit of a lengthy at bat here. 1 out, nobody on. Pitch number 8. And he laces this out to left field. Green tags it over the wall. An opposite field home run on a cool night. Riley Green showing some impressive opposite field power. And the Tigers jumping on the board early tonight. It's 2-0.
And it's a fastball middle of the plate. You can see Cal flash that glove to the top of the strike zone. Emerson Hancock trying to challenge, but this is one of the improvements you want to see for him for 2025. Get deeper into counts. Start generating just a little bit more chase, a little bit more swing and miss.
111 off the bat from Riley Green. Had a strike to Spencer Torkelson, who's off to a nice start offensively. Former #1 overall draft pick out of Arizona State. Broken back ground ball. Bliss circles around it, can't hold it cleanly. Not sure it would have mattered. That was a long way to cover and throw. Torkelson is aboard an infield single, so one way or another, everything's going right for the Tigers. 4 straight hits to open up the first inning.
I guess this one off the handle, broken bat, but really no chance for Ryan Bliss, especially how deep that is. This gets all the way out to the grass. Just takes that awkward hop.
At the knees, a good pitch, but ball 1 to Colt Keith. Another left-handed bat.
You can see Emerson just trying to get in some kind of rhythm. There's nothing worse. You kind of script this in your head in the afternoon before you get to the ballpark, how you want things to go. Next thing you know, you're getting ambushed all over the place.
Fastball missing away. A lot of fastballs early on from Hancock. 3-0 count to Colt Keith. And he walked him on 4 pitches, so the traffic continues for the Tigers. And here comes Pete Woodworth.
Yeah, you can see it start to snowball a little bit for Emerson Hancock. You don't feel right. You're obviously frustrated. You start rushing a little bit.
Now, this is a Tigers team last year that went 86-76. They were 1 game better than the Mariners. They ended a 9-year playoff drought. Swept the Astros in 2 games in Houston in the wild card series, and then lost to Cleveland in 5 games in the divisional round.
Tell you what, when you say it's 1 game better than the Seattle Mariners, it didn't feel like that, especially in the month of September. That's all we heard about was the Detroit Tigers. Magical run.
Fastball misses in. Ball went to McKinstry.
I mean, August 10th, they were 10 games out of a playoff spot. They had Fangraphs had them a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs.
So you're saying there's a chance?
And not to mention, too, I mean, they made some big trades. You saw Flaherty go to the Dodgers.
Yes.
They started, dismantling the team. Waving the white flag at that trade deadline.
1 out, 2 on. Emerson can't land a fastball right now. Spraying it a little bit. 3 pitches here, all heaters, and he's behind 3-0. It was almost nothing but fastballs to Keith, then he walked him on 4 pitches. Just gets enough of the outer edge that time.
And you hear the crowd start to cheer. I'm telling you right now, there's nothing worse when your home crowd, it starts to cheer a little bit because you finally get that strike in there. You want to hurry up and do that right there so the cheer turns to more of a positive one. All of a sudden 3-2. Make a pitch right here. And only giving up the 2.
The 3-2. Fly ball out to Arozarena in left field. This will help things out. 2 away. Now you look at it here. Obviously, it's been a tough first inning for Hancock. A lot of traffic. A big home run from Riley Green, but you're 1 batter away from limiting the damage to just 2 runs.
Yeah, exactly. And you get off that anchor too, right? So like you can see the last half a dozen pitches he's thrown, even with the mound visit. He's just anchoring on that home run to make it 2-0. And that lack of feel. Now all of a sudden you're, like you said, a couple pitches away, getting back in the dugout, resetting.
Dylan Dingler, the batter. Former Ohio State Buckeye, 2nd-round draft pick catcher for the Tigers. Not a whole lot of big league time. This is only his 30th major league game. Made his debut last year. Torkelson at second, Keith the runner at first base. And there's that new sweeper from Hancock. Almost a 30-pitch inning. Levels the count. Time called. Tigers began this first inning with the first 5 batters reaching. And now Hancock steps off. Looks like he's trying to get Cal to go through things once again. And maybe now having a pitch com issue. And now the home plate umpire is kind of getting in the middle and making sure he knows what's going on.
Yeah, just a pile on right now in this first inning for Emerson.
Well, Hancock's got a chance to end it right here. 30th pitch of the inning. His 2-2. And Dingler just stays alive. Hancock will try it again. Fly ball out to Arozarena into the gap, trouble, and it's in for a base hit. Torkelson rounds and scores. Keith first to third. 1 pitch away from ending the inning, but instead Dingler lofts a parachute out to shallow left center field, and the Tigers now lead at 3-0.
And they talked about that sweeper, and this is how it goes, right? You're trying to make a pitch, and you're trying to stay inside the strike zone as well. Get back in the dugout as quick as you can. Next thing you know, hang a sweeper out over the middle off the end of the bat, and you're hanging out there with the 3 runs facing the next hitter.
2 outs, runners on the corners. Trey Sweeney, the number 8 hitting shortstop at the plate. And a generous call there. That helps Hancock. Strike 1. And there is now activity inside of Dan's bullpen. It gets to a point where, especially in your first start of the season, right, the question becomes how many pitches can you throw in 1 inning and remain healthy?
Yeah, and again, obviously performance-wise, but you're looking at 33 pitches right now. You get to that threshold where it's a lot of pitches.
Broken bat just beyond J.P. Crawford's reach. Keith scores. Dingler, he goes into third base, and Sweeney finds just enough loft on it to get a base hit and drive home the Tigers' 4th run of the first inning.
Yeah, you've had the broken bat base hit that stayed up the middle to Ryan Bliss. You had that ball off the end of the bat with Dingler, and now Sweeney, another broken bat.
And Tigers have had a hit of almost every variety so far. From an infield base hit to a broken bat to a parachute. And a missile of a home run by Riley Green. 9th batter of the inning is Javi Baez. Center cut fastball for a strike. Now this is a hitter we know very well over the years. You do not need to throw Javi Baez a strike to necessarily get him to swing. Very aggressive hitter.
I was about to say, I'm shocked he's taking those last 2 pitches.
On the corner, he's not pleased with that one. Next pitch will be the 38th this inning for Hancock. One, 2. Saucedo continuing to warm. Fly ball smacked out to left field. Off the wall. Dingler in. Sweeney. He comes around and he scores standing. Javier Baez drives in another 2. And the Tigers are laying it on the Mariners before they even grab a bat. It's 6-0 Detroit in the first inning.
Yeah, this is right in Baez's wheelhouse. We know about how aggressive, how much he chases. But, man, he can hit a mistake still. Going back to his days with the Cubs. But, man, just a nightmare start for Emerson Hancock as we see Dan Wilson strolling out to the mound.
I hate to see this. Not at all what you wanted for Emerson Hancock. Not what he was preparing for. He cannot escape the first inning. Faces 9 batters, and his day has come to a close. Saucedo's coming in. We got a pitching change. Disappointing start for the Mariners here in the top of the first, to say the least. 6-0 Tigers, and the Mariners having to go to their bullpen already. A 6 spot for Detroit and a chance for more. Taylor Saucedo is on.
Yeah, for Taylor, this is his second outing. First time out, he got that little broken bat. Ball that just hit over his head. Could have been out, technically infield hit, and then all of a sudden the wheels came off. But yeah, what a nightmare start for Emerson Hancock for multiple reasons. I think the biggest one, though, too, here you are getting a chance to be that fifth starter because obviously the injury with George Kirby. So you kind of have that chip on your shoulder a little bit in regards to sort of proving yourself. You got this new confidence from spring training, and then just had no feel whatsoever tonight. That leash gets just a little bit shorter as George Kirby's on his way back.
Baez, the runner, leading off second. Malloy at the plate for the second time this inning. Two balls and a strike. Malloy got this game going for the Tigers with a double. Malloy made his major league debut last year, played in just over 70 games for the Tigers. It was a very strikeout prone. Three balls and a strike his way. And another base runner for the Tigers. Saucedo walks the first man that he sees.
And the first thing you want to do coming in the bullpen when you started struggling, getting knocked out in the first inning, just come in and throw strikes, get inside the strike zone. It's a tough place to be, though. You're sitting out there, you kind of, I'm not saying you checked out mentally, but you kind of anticipate, you know what, I'm going to be sitting around, get my routine started around the fourth, fifth inning. And here you are in the first.
There's Kerry Carpenter. Carpenter an RBI single earlier this inning. Saucedo's 1-1. Another foul ball. Carpenter, a really good year last year, especially against righties. That's where he does his most damage, facing a lefty here in Saucedo. Can you imagine being Jackson Jobe, the young starting pitcher for the Tigers, one of the top prospects in baseball? He is about to make his first career major league start. He's got 6 runs of support on the board already. Guessing he didn't imagine hanging in the dugout quite this long.
Yeah. I feel like an eternity. Just wanted to get out there. Hey, hey, boys, I appreciate the 6 runs, but let me get going. A lot of nerves. He talked about that in spring training.
Cal Raleigh does a good job keeping that in front of him. It's another 3-ball count. Tigers have had a lot of those so far. This next pitch will be the 50th pitch this inning.
Taylor Saucedo has had to do this a couple times in his career. I remember in Houston talking to him after the game, had to come in to relieve an injured starter early on. Really struggled. Mentally didn't feel right.
Ground ball. J.P. Crawford by the bag. Has it. And it has come to an end. The Mariners get off the field, but the Tigers hang 6 runs for Jackson Jobe, getting set to make his first career big league start. Well, the Mariners will need to start chipping away at this one. The Tigers with 6 runs in their half of the first inning. Victor Robles leading things off. Julio had the game-winning home run in yesterday's game to the second deck in left field. Cal Raleigh, then Randy Arozarena. Raley and Tellez, a couple of left-handed bats are in there today. Ryan Bliss once again at second base, batting 8th. He had a nice series against the Athletics. Jackson Job's first pitch nearly clips the corner. It's at 97. This is a guy who can really rush it in there, Ryan.
Yeah, he can hit triple digits. Matter of fact, turned a lot of heads last spring training, coming up as, basically, like I say, an unknown, big-time draft pick, but hit 102 in spring training. Everyone's like, hold on a minute. But then the fastball kind of leveled out a little bit, 96 to 97.
Low skipper to second base. Keith has it. 1 away.
Remember, for Jackson Jobe, you know about the big fastball. The slider was really that kind of that signature pitch, more of a sweeper, but then he added in the curveball. He could spin that thing around 3,000 RPM. But the biggest add-on this spring training was the command. There was something that kind of doubled for him in AA and AAA last year. The walk rate went up, so really tried to dial in that command.
Julio fouls back 99 miles an hour for strike 1. Jobe, 22 years old, former 3rd overall pick out of Heritage Hall High School in Oklahoma City.
There's that curveball. It's more of a slurvy kind of pitch. It's not the 12-6. You can see the spin on that thing. Tons of movement.
Julio falls behind 1-2. This is Jobe's first career major league start. He made his major league debut at the very end of last season. He made 2 relief appearances, pitched twice in the postseason as well out of the bullpen. Has never started a game until tonight. Another ground ball. Sweeney at short. Two outs. Well, it's funny. You talked about the spring training from 2 years ago and touching 102 and debut last year, but this is somebody who there's just not a lot on, right? And they know the stuff that he has, but nobody's faced it before.
Yeah.
Not a ton of tape on this guy.
Yeah, and I mean, you just saw that last at bat, right? I mean, Rush is up there, upper 90s. He's got the changeup with the arm speed changeup. So tough to pick up, same tunnel. And he just snaps off that breaking ball. But I mean, yeah, you hear things. There's nothing like a scouting report from 60 feet away. That's for sure. A guy you'd never seen before, heard plenty about.
Just blows it past Cal Raleigh at 99. Cal Raleigh, a rising fly ball out towards the foul pole in right field, but a foul ball. Turned on 98 right there. He was geared up for it.
It definitely was. 98, upper part of the strike zone, just turned on that thing.
Puts him away with that cutter in on his hands, and an impressive first inning for young Jackson Jobe. He retires the side in order. Tonight's T-Mobile coverage cam. Mariners and the Tigers beginning the series. Not off to a great start. Mariners really struggled with the Tigers last year. In fact, the series at Comerica Park was kind of part of the real low point in August, where the Mariners lost series in Pittsburgh, in Detroit, and then at Dodger Stadium. Ended up leading to the dismissal of Scott Service. Interestingly enough, the last time the Mariners allowed 6 runs in the first inning, back in July of 2021, the Mariners won that game.
There you go, Aaron. We got this. Let's do it.
That was the Dylan Moore Grand Slam game. Grand Slam to the second deck. They got him right where they want him. Green lofts this into foul ground. Tell you what, on any weather conditions, the home run from Riley Green in the first inning would be impressive. On a cool night, even more so.
Yeah, that ball was crushed.
111 miles an hour the opposite way. Green, a former first-round draft pick, taken 5th overall, in fact, back in 2019. He debuted as a 21-year-old. He would have started that season in the big leagues had he not fouled a ball off of his foot in spring training. That delayed his start that season. Saucedo with the strikeout. And a nice start to the second inning.
You know, Aaron, going back to that at bat against Emerson Hancock, as you see Taylor Saucedo break off that big breaking ball right here. But you know, we're talking about the changeup right now. Riley Green, that's a pitch he really struggled against last year. He struck out 35 times against changeups. We're talking about Emerson kind of trusting that pitch. He got him to swing over a changeup early on in the at bat, but he ended up doubling up with the fastball. Now, look, I know he's given up 6. He didn't look good, didn't have the command, didn't have the feel. However, something's telling me right now, as Emerson Hancock's, you know, whether he's in the dugout, in the locker room, he's going back to that one at bat, because you get that little, you know, weak contact early on, get a little ground ball, even a swing and miss, whatever it may be. All of a sudden, you start to kind of shift, you know, your mindset and how you feel. And even when you're struggling, you can get back in the dugout, press the reset button, get back to that little mechanical cue, whatever it is, and you could be pitching right now. So it's amazing how it comes down to maybe, you know, 1 or 2 pitches in an at bat and completely derails. And by the way, not to mention how it affects the at bats after that home run you give up, because you're like, man, you're second guessing and you're regretting the fact you went fastball in that situation. Again, not to nitpick here, but we just watched Riley Green swing over that big breaking ball, and you know, just going back to his first at bat, talking about that home run.
Torkelson kind of flicks this right through the left side, and his hot start to the season continues. He's aboard for the second time tonight. Way out in front of that one, and he's able to work a base hit out of it.
A good piece of hit right there, keeping those hands through the zone. Just enough, find some outfield grass.
Already the 8th hit for the Tigers today.
Yeah, seen plenty of that mixed in with some hard contact as well.
Cole Keith takes low, ball 1. Saucedo grew up a Mariners fan. His family had season tickets as a kid. Sat right behind the visitors' dugout here at T-Mobile Park. Not a surprise, his favorite pitcher growing up was King Felix. He wore number 34 whenever he could when he was in the minors. Mike Cameron was one of his favorite players as well. That misses down and in. As a kid, Saucedo was gifted a Mike Cameron broken bat for Christmas one year. And when Saucedo joined the Mariners, remember, he came up with the Blue Jays. When he had his first spring training in Peoria with the Mariners, He brought that broken Mike Cameron bat that he'd had since a kid in his bedroom to spring training and got Cammy to sign it. Turned into a little kid again. Doesn't chase. It's another base runner for the Tigers. He does not go. 1 out and 2 on as Keith walks for the second time.
Cammy can hook him up with a new bat. Get the bat company, whoever it is.
Second walk for Saucedo.
I mean, how broken we talking?
Probably just, you know,
just sword in half.
Just a little bit of a crack in the handle. It was Cammy. He barreled everything up. It was a rare broken bat. Ball's behind McKinstry, ball 1. Raley at first base, stumbles, recovers. 2 outs. Well, the Mariners are bringing some vintage vibes to the ballpark. Friday, April 11th. It is, I think this is the first time ever, right? Corduroy hat night, thanks to Alaska Airlines. Available to the first 10,000 fans. Mariners will take on the Rangers. Mariners.com/tickets to take home the corduroy.
I like it. We've had some retro 80s neon hats.
Yeah, we had those 3 years in a row.
They kept making a comeback this year? Or?
Now we're moving on to corduroy. 0-1 to Dingler. Robles angling back, backpedaling, and he makes the squeeze for out number 3. A couple of men are stranded in scoring position. A way to stay warm tonight. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. Randy Arozarena leads things off. Jackson Jobe retired the Mariners in order in the first. Randy, fly ball left field, jumps on it right away. An ambush bomb out to the bullpen. And the Mariners will start to inch back with Randy's second of the season.
Tell you what, Aaron, he just continues to punish baseballs here early on. Again, another top tenor in the exit velo. Ball absolutely crushed. You saw Cal Raleigh just go foul on that fastball. Upper 90s, middle of the plate. And he keeps that one fair. Ball was crushed into that Tigers bullpen.
Polanco off the end of the bat, and that ball is caught by Baez in on the grass at third. One away. Well, you look at Arozarena in those 4 games against the A's, and he went 1 for 12. And there were a lot of Mariners hitters that struggled and went 1 for whatever it was in those 4 games. But in Arozarena's particular case, if you just watch the games and don't only look at the numbers of the box score, you go, well, you know, it was 1 for 12, and bottom line, it is a do-good league. But over 162, if he hits like he was able to make contact in those 4 games, things are going to go okay.
Oh,
and we just saw proof of that.
For sure. And I mean, he's turning on everything too. It's not like he's trying to flip balls into right field. You know, staying up the middle. So that ball that was caught yesterday a couple days ago in the first inning. But then, man, if he's getting that mistake, he got that slider that first night of the season, hanging slider against Leclerc.
Yeah, I wouldn't normally reference a hard hit rate after 4 games and 12 at bats, but it was 75% in that A's series. To give you some idea of the quality of contact that Randy was making. 2-2 to Luke Raley. That was a little short of home plate. Spikes a curveball. New pitch for Job. Rowdy Tellez waiting on deck, DHing tonight.
Yeah, 5 of the 9 balls he's put in play over 105 miles per hour. It's pretty decent.
He has gotten the Mariners on the board. Trying to come back from a Tigers 6-run first inning. Raley last year a career best 22 home runs. As he draws a walk here, Mariners need some base runners.
Yeah, that's one thing you can take advantage of from Jackson Jobe. Start to wait out some of that command. Again, he only pitched in 2 games in the regular season and a couple playoff stints, but it's one thing he had issues with last year, and it kind of came in bunches too. He'd walk 1 guy, then all of a sudden 2, then 3. Obviously the stuff's still there, but so take advantage of some of the nerves that are happening too.
Check swing. He goes. If you throw 96 somewhere near the middle of the plate and it's fouled away, do you feel like you got away with one, or because it's 96, do you feel okay about it?
Yeah, it's a great question. It all depends. So like,
popped up. Foul ground. Let's see who's got this one. Baez covers some ground. The third baseman makes the catch for out number 2.
So obviously it depends on the count too, right? The one thing though, and guys who try and rush it up, they're guys who pitch at the top part of the strike zone. Usually it's that area where, all right, if I'm going to miss, I'm going to miss up and up and up. It's easier to miss up than it is to miss down, right? Especially on a fastball. So a situation like that where Jackson's trying to elevate and he leaves one out over the middle, especially in the 1-1 count like it was, and you see that quick swing like they're on it, like, oh man, you feel like, okay, I just got away with one for sure.
Ryan Bliss, the batter. Late on 97, strike 1.
Now, Aaron, if you don't throw 96, like myself, you're like, oh yeah, man. First of all, you feel pretty good if you're pumping upper velo, that's for sure. But you live in the middle of the plate, you're going to get crushed, regardless of how hard you throw. There it is. You usually see that too. You usually see all of a sudden missing by, half a foot or a foot above the strike zone. And you time the at-bat before when you miss a pitch out over the middle of the plate.
Ground ball that goes foul. Well, we've talked about it before. The big storyline with Bliss the entire offseason was getting back on the fastball.
Yeah.
This was something that he struggled with last year. He hit off speed well in his limited at-bats in the big leagues last year, but he struggled against heaters.
Yeah, I was watching that first series. I felt like there was only one he really missed, which was like middle upper part of the strike zone. But he'll get challenged here for sure. He'll get some upper 90s at the top of the strike zone, see if he can catch up to it.
1-2.
Yeah, at some point, Jackson will give him that pitch. He can cheat just a little bit if you're Ryan Bliss. Stay up the middle with it.
Drops to a knee, fouls off a changeup. What's that telling you?
A good job to stay on that pitch, though. You think right on right changeup after he's shown the breaking ball. Nolan, the report against him is fastballs up can beat him. He's trying to.
He's worked it full. JP on deck if Bliss can reach. Raley a lead at first base, 2 down. 3-2. Fly ball slugged out towards left center field. Riley Green has just enough room. Well, he got a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and Bliss gave it a ride just a few feet short of the fence. That bullpen gate will swing open a lot tonight as Emerson Hancock could not escape the first inning. Saucedo. There's a broken bat. Saucedo took over as the first reliever. Bliss is a little wide with the throw, and it pulls Raley off the bag. Sweeney an infield base hit. He's 2 for 2.
Yeah, it's a tough play just because, first of all off the handle. So broken bat, infield hit again. But for Ryan Bliss, that ball just dies in the grass right there, and all of a sudden now you're looking at another broken bat hit for the Detroit Tigers.
Javier Baez, the batter, 2-run double his last at bat. Healthy swing and a miss for strike one. Baez winning a World Series with the Cubs, signing a very lucrative free agent deal to join the Tigers. It has not gone exactly according to plan. No longer at shortstop, batting ninth these days. He's at third base now. Good pitch by Snyder, doesn't get the call. 1-1. Polanco to Bliss on to first base, and Raley able to keep the anchor in place for a double play.
Yeah, it has not been a smooth transition for him. You mentioned the days with the Cubs for Baez winning the World Series to then signing that big deal with the Detroit Tigers. See here, ground ball double play, quickly 2 outs, but that performance started to decline that 2023 season. Baez was benched in April in 2023, a couple times from AJ Hinch. There's some mental lapses on the field. Forgot the number of outs, base running mistakes. Sort of criticized his focus, performance.
Nothing to 2 on Malloy.
I remember him coming up with the Cubs. I was in that organization, and man, he was. That's all they talked about was Javi Baez.
Now, he was electrifying.
He was. He really was. Seeing him in spring training, oh man, this kid's going to be a stud. Has not gone smoothly in Detroit, that's for sure.
Malloy has reached base twice, a double and a walk. Snyder's 0-2. Two outs, 2 balls, and 2 strikes. Just misses outside. A full count. Dangerous hitter and Carpenter due up next. Misses in. Third time aboard for Malloy, his second walk.
How to change the way you pizza. Step 1, grab a delicious Papa Murphy's pizza. Step 2, bake. Order the fan favorite cowboy pizza right now at papamurphys.com.
Two outs and a man aboard. Kerry Carpenter digs in, 1 for 2 with an RBI. Slugged out to the gap in right center field, and this short hops the wall. Malloy races to third. He's making the turn home. Bliss's throw is high and backed up by Snyder. That keeps Carpenter at second, but another run for the Tigers is in, and it's 7-1 Detroit.
Yeah, you mentioned how dangerous Kerry Carpenter is, especially inside the strike zone. This is a guy who chases a ton of pitches, but man, does damage. He's inside the strike zone. You look at the slugging numbers. 272 at-bats, 574 slug since last season, 5th best in the big leagues.
And that walk brought him to the plate and brings home another run. Here is Riley Green. So the Tigers get that run right back. Look at how many, not just first-round draft picks, but high first-round draft picks the Tigers have on their team. We mentioned Job, who was the number 3 overall pick. Tomorrow we'll see Casey Mize. He was the number 1 overall pick. Spencer Torkelson, who's on deck, he went 1-1. And Riley Green, a first-round draft pick as well. Green was taken 5th overall. I mean, that's the hope, right? When you pick that high up that many times, you hope that they all make it to the big leagues and make an impact. And Riley Green certainly has. He was an all-star last year. Mize, his 2nd year coming off of Tommy John. Another foul ball. It's been a rockier road for Spencer Torkelson. He was optioned down last year. Been a good chunk of time in Toledo, their AAA affiliate. He's gotten off to a good start this year, however, in just a handful of games.
Yeah, that was rough. I remember following along with that. Go ahead.
Whoa. The Mariners will gladly accept anything. Good timing for that. Riley Green strikes out. MLB TV with T-Mobile, redeemed today at T-Mobile.com/MLB. J.P. Crawford leads it off, looks at ball 1. Two and 0.
Jackson Jubb's 22 years old. He looks like he's about 12. It's a compliment, by the way. You kind of wonder, you know, you go 5-6 years down the track if he's going to have some giant beard or hair flowing out the back.
Well, JP works a 4-pitch walk. Good way to start the bottom of the third. I'll turn the lineup card over. Here's Victor Robles. This is fair inside the bag at third. Crawford races to third. He gets held there. Robles stands up with a double. Just worked through that tight window between Baez and the bag at third base.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for Victor Robles, we know about his swing tendencies on first pitch. If he gets something that's kind of breakable, you don't want him to roll over something. But like you said, Aaron, just sneaking through. And the Mariners got something cooking here in the third inning, chipping away at that 7-1 lead.
If you go back to last year, Victor Robles, who we know didn't join the Mariners until midway through essentially as an everyday player, he nearly led the Mariners in doubles. He finished 3 doubles shy of Dylan Moore. And obviously the elements here at T-Mobile Park, we know what it does to the flight of the ball, and we know that the gaps here are not very conducive, at least relative to every other ballpark, for doubles. It just, you don't see it a whole lot. And for Robles, those are what his doubles look like. Yeah. They're just inside the bag and ripped down the line. That's how the majority of his doubles go, and it's part of the reason why he's been such a good hitter, especially here. Here's Julio. Ground ball. Baez dives and smothers it, throws from his knees, and he gets Julio. Crawford scores from third. Much needed run. It's an RBI ground out, and it's 7-2 Tigers.
He's going back to Victor Robles. You see Julio getting caught out in front on that breaking ball, but I mean, could that have gone any better for the Mariners when you think about it, right? You're picking up a guy, usually a prospect with another team. It starts to plateau out a little bit. It didn't end very well with the Nationals, and you pick him up and maybe hopefully fill a gap. But I mean, look at the numbers. June 4th onwards, 328 batting average, on-base percentage 393, OPS 860. Just off. Here he is, leading off every day for the Seattle Mariners.
Cal gets into a good count, 2-0.
So he gets a fastball middle of the plate.
Fastball called a strike. Good speed at second, and Robles 1 out. The 3-1. Cal calls time.
I'll be shocked right here if he gets a fastball middle of the plate, anywhere in the strike zone, actually. Get that open base, 1 out. Righty on deck.
Stabbed on a dive by Torkelson, who throws wild past second base. And Robles is into third. A hit taken away by Spencer Torkelson on a hard hit ball by Cal Raleigh with nothing to show for it.
This ball was scorched from Cal Raleigh. You get the feeling, Aaron, I'm not giving Jackson Jobe, man, this is a nice play too. Wow. 2 nice plays. You saw Baez right before this, but throwing the ball away, but more importantly, keeping that ball in the infield. Now, I'm not giving Jackson Jobe too much credit here, but these Mariners are on these pitches like there's a bit of a tell. Maybe he's tipping his pitches just a little bit. Young guy trying to do too much. Maybe there's something they've caught onto.
Randy homered his last time up. So what are you going? Are you going off of the Robles double? Obviously, what we just saw from Cal, Randy homer, Bliss fly ball out to deep center.
Yeah.
Is those some of those swings you're referencing?
Yeah, I just think that they're just on these pitches. You know, even the pitches, not so much the contact either. The pitches they're laying off.
Okay.
As well.
All right.
Yeah, there just could be something. And again, I don't want to give him too much credit. I mean, this is the first time we're seeing Jackson Jobe. But just the quality of swing. Or it could be a guy who's just really good stuff, easy to pick up.
The 2-2. Back-to-back full counts from Jobe. In fact, he's run a 3-ball count to now 3 batters this inning. Polanco on deck with 2 away and Robles at third. Off the plate. Randy reaches for the second time.
That's a good at-bat. Some tough pitches to lay off that fastball. Even that fastball up and away, but that pitch which is kind of coming across his body. Yeah, Randy, by the way, traditionally gets deep into counts. Sees a lot of 3-2, a lot of deep counts. Able to lay off some tough pitches, extend this inning.
That's 3 walks already for Jobe after a 1-2-3 first inning. Mariners have had some traffic the last 2. Here's Polanco. Expands the strike zone, fouls it away for strike 1.
Again, if you pay attention, again, there's just not much fooling going on, if you know what I'm saying.
We've seen that fastball kind of normalized too. We saw some 98s, 99s in the first inning, some adrenaline from his first big league start. Now more setting 96. Two outs, runners on the corners. The 0-2. Chop off the plate. Jobe will take it all the way to first base to retire the side. A couple of men are stranded. A run does score. Mariners still have some ground to make up after 3. Stream Mariner games from your phone, tablet, laptop, and smart TV with the new Root Sports Stream app. It's free for in-market participating cable and satellite customers, or just $19.99 a month. You can start streaming right now. Mariners.com/stream. Torkelson pops this foul ground. Raley over for a look, and this is into the crowd. Strike one. Tigers with 7 runs on 10 hits through the first 3 innings. Two balls and 2 strikes. What a start to the season for Spencer Torkelson. He was on base 5 times opening day at Dodger Stadium. He homered and walked 4 times.
Yeah, better start this year than last year. You talked about him getting sent down to AAA. He was hitting around 200 at the beginning of June. They decided to send him down, get everything figured out. He's trying to do too much at the plate.
He's been aboard twice tonight. We mentioned that opening series for the Tigers at Dodger Stadium. They were swept in 3 games. They lost 1 game by a run. They were walked off in extras on a Mookie Betts home run. They were right there in a couple of those games against the defending champs. And what's more with that, they had a lot of traffic on the base paths. Opening day, it's hard to imagine. They went 0 for 15 with runners in scoring position, which I guess the glass half full is they had a lot of opportunities, but hard to imagine not cashing in at least one of those times. That was in on his hands, and he fouls it back.
9 pitches this at bat. You see Snider going out for multiple innings. That's the way it's going to be when you got to pick up your starter who leaves in the first inning.
Pitch number 10. Now Vargas is now beginning to warm up inside Dan Wilson's bullpen. He made his Mariners debut against the Athletics. The 11th pitch of the at-bat will find Arozarena.
Yeah, really good contact. You mentioned the 11th pitch, but Spencer Torkelson struggles last year. Changed his batting stance. A little narrow, more weight on his backside, but it's always good when you come out of that first series hitting 500 and you can feel good about what you're doing compared to a year prior.
1 out for Colt Keith. All right, if you're a starting pitcher and the opposing batter works an 11 pitch at bat, that might have cost you an inning.
Oh, big time.
Right? Is it different if you're a reliever because you're not going to go as long? How does it seem to do with those 2 positions?
Yeah, in a situation like this where you know you have to try and suck up as many innings as you can, right? Especially because you're trying to pick up your team. This is, you still got a couple days before you hit the road and move on. So you want to try and he knows that as well. Look, Snider, as good as he was last year and pitching higher leverage spots.
Keith Slugs this to right field. Short hops the wall. We've said that a lot so far. Strong throw from Robles. Tag applied, and it's not in time. Keith is in there safe, and JP a little shaken up.
That's it. Man, good throw from Robles, showing off that arm in right field, deep in right field. Get another look at it. You can see that ball skip off the wall. Nice bounce, but this is on the other side. This is the bounce. It wasn't too great. You can see that ball kind of hop up, half volley JP, and maybe cost him a spike.
Oh, right there. Yeah. .109 off the bat from Colt Keith, the double, and that sends Snyder to the dugout. We've got a pitching change. Vargas is coming on here in the fourth. 7-2 Tigers. Tonight's Muckleshoot Casino Resort pen report, with the bullpen yesterday for the Mariners is very good. It covered the final 3 innings, just 1 hit, no runs allowed, a walk and 3 strikeouts. It was Santos, Thornton, and Munoz. Munoz with his 2nd save of the season. He saved both wins in that A's series. And Santos looked really good. So did Thornton yesterday as well.
Yeah, and both those guys, obviously they're always auditioning these first couple of weeks to see where you kind of slot in. But yeah, talk about Santos getting a chance to open up the season, but Trent Thornton getting that 8th inning, that was huge. There's Trent Thornton, got plenty of that action last year.
He had to face the big bats in that order for the A's yesterday in a 1-run game. He carved up Lawrence Butler on 3 pitches and got Brent Rooker as well. Also handled Bleday.
Yeah, Goldie, the question came up too. We were talking in that 8th inning. Do you have Munoz got a higher leverage pocket? Instead, obviously, Trent Thornton got that top of the lineup.
Carlos Vargas on here, facing McKinstry, inheriting Keith at second base. Yeah, I think it's pretty evident just 4 games into the season that, at least for the time being, and not that anything can't change, but I think the plan at least is that Munoz is now a traditional 9th inning closer, which last year we saw him so many times in that 1+. Right?
Yeah.
That 4-out save, 5-out save even.
Yeah, you see that if you're one of these teams that kind of overperform, it doesn't matter who you are, right? For the last however many years, but if you're one of these teams that overperform early, and you're playing a lot of these close games, and you start to burn out that bullpen, and guys get all those appearances kind of bulked up in that first month, you start to see it stress the bullpen, stress the team out a little bit once May rolls around. I remember that last year with Andres Munoz where he was, like you said, going 1+. And it started to cost him a little bit. There was those stints where you had to lay off him for a good 3 to 4 days to make sure you get him through the season healthy. But that's what helps when you got that depth. Again, we're here in the 4th inning. We're already seeing a couple bullpen arms, but this guy right now, Vargas, this is as big as it gets because you are auditioning. You're out of options. You know, reinforcements are coming back. Matt Brash. Troy Taylor coming back as well.
So Trevor got at some point.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
At some point, somewhat soon.
So I mean, again, 4th inning, you're down by 5. This is like highest leverage situation.
1-1 to Dingler. Broken bat, foul ball. Tigers now with 7 runs on 11 hits. Most of that coming in the 1st inning. Vargas, the 3rd reliever used already tonight by Dan Wilson. One, two. Robles. Plays it on a hop. Keith rounding 3rd, bobbled by Robles. Wouldn't have mattered either way. Keith scores on a ball that was close to being caught, but not close enough. Brings home the 8th run tonight for the Tigers.
Yeah, able to keep that ball in front of him too. But like you said, it wouldn't have mattered. Runner at 2nd would have scored anyway. Ball was hit hard, but that ball. You can call this a risky dive. However, I don't think Dingler's going to round 3rd base and get an inside the Parker home run. But good job keeping that in front of him.
Each time the Mariners score, the Tigers answer and get that run right back immediately. Vargas plays the hop knee high, a little flip, and Sweeney retired. A run in for the Tigers for the bottom of the 4th. All Detroit early on.
We're heading to the bottom of the fourth here at T-Mobile Park. Job on the mound, Dingler behind the plate for Detroit. And I talked to A.J. Hinch today, and he said for the first time in his career, he's actually using personal catchers, at least at this point in the season. He's resisted for a really long time, but he watched the way these guys worked together in spring training and made sure that every starting pitcher was throwing to the catcher they would throw to for their first start of the season, the last 2 weeks of spring training. We will see Jake Rogers the next couple of days with Mize and Skubal, but AJ just kind of laughed, guys, and said I finally gave them what they wanted.
Well, AJ, a former catcher himself, as Raley leads things off.
Dingler making his debut last year in July, so I'm sure him and Jackson Jobe have been together in the minor leagues.
Raley, right field, gone. Home run, his first this year.
And Raley getting a change up middle of the plate. It's a good sign. Took him a little bit to get going. Gets the Trident.
Fastball strike to Rowdy Tellez. 20 homer seasons each of the last 2 years for Luke Raley. I mean, it's only 4 games, so take it with a grain of salt, but it is a little funny when you think about the Mariners. Obviously, an emphasis on stealing more bases this year, hopefully putting the ball in play more often. We know about all the strikeout woes last year in particular. And you look at the 2 games that they've won, and they've won them on home runs.
Right. You'll take it, though, especially when you're down 8-2 now, 8-3. But, you know, tell you what, Luke Raley. There you go.
Now, that's a nice moment on a forgettable night so far.
He's like, hey, I appreciate the hug and the kiss. We can't have the ball.
Do you think they know each other?
Definitely not. No.
I think they've never met before.
So that's what Luke Raley home run will do.
That's right. Just bringing people together.
Yeah, Luke definitely, obviously, platoon hitting righties a little bit more, but 20 of the 22 against righties last year, 253.
Bliss takes off the plate. He worked a good at bat his last time up. He flew out to the warning track in center field.
Yeah, just a couple feet away. Taking Jackson Jobe deep.
Good take just off the plate. Couple of nice plate appearances for Ryan Bliss tonight against Jobe. 4th walk for the rookie.
Yeah, and 64 pitches. Really the only pitch where it looked like Mariner hitters have been fooled these last couple innings, especially 3rd and 4th, and especially when you're talking second time through the line, it was that strikeout pitch to Rowdy Tellez. Besides that, they've been on everything from Jackson Jobe. Good contact, big swings.
Yeah, Jobe 2 strikeouts, 4 walks so far. Keeping an eye on Ryan Bliss. Tigers have their bullpen beginning to stir a little bit. Job approaching 70 pitches. Brennan Hanafy getting loose. Now, Tigers, their closer last year, Jason Foley, was sent down to AAA to begin the season. He did not pitch well at all in the spring. More importantly, he did not pitch well in his one postseason appearance last year, and then he was essentially benched. He did not pitch the final 6 postseason games for the Tigers. A.J. Hinch went elsewhere.
Yeah, good bullpen last year in 2024. Made some additions this year. 5th best ERA in the big leagues.
That's a bullpen, at least to begin the season, looks like has some big arms. There's not a ton of swing and miss in that bullpen, but they've got some velocity out there.
Out of Tommy Kahnle from the Yankees, Andrew Chafin.
JP pops up. This is foul. Dingler with 2 hands. 2 away.
This might be it for Jackson Jobe. Just the 4 innings, pushing 70 pitches. First major league start.
3rd time through the order here. Robles 1 for 2 with a double. He does not go. Gets ahead 2-0.
There's a lot of deep counts for Jackson Jobe. You mentioned the 4 walks too, and guarantee it's something they're going to try and clean up before that next start. You see the velocity start to dip as well in that first inning.
Yeah, fastball. His last one at 95. Pulls back the bunt. There's another 95-mile-an-hour heater. We saw 99 in the first inning. So 3-0 now. Another 3-ball count. Julio's on deck. Mariners would love to take a big chunk out of this Tigers lead. Taking a very borderline strike. EQC tracer. Might have clipped it. Jobe has battled back. Full count now. Speed at first base and Bliss.
Challenged him. 97 that time. We see the finish line knowing the bullpen's getting going, looking over his right shoulder. Trying to empty the tank right here against Victor Robles. Especially with that man on deck.
Yeah, maybe his last batter here. Another foul ball. Pitch number 8.
Good at bat right here.
And he got him. Robles strikes out. Bliss is stranded, but Luke Raley's first home run of the season has put another run on the board for the Mariners, trailing by 5. Another look at tonight's T-Mobile coverage cam inside T-Mobile Park. Mariners and the Tigers beginning this 3-game series. Upper inside corner to Baez for strike 1. Vargas got the final 2 outs of the 4th inning, back out there to begin the 5th. That's the outer edge now. Bites this off. Raley near the line. Little flip. Vargas right there at the bag. Hey, the A's are playing their first game right now in Sacramento.
How's it looking?
The Sacramento era of A's baseball has started. Jacob Wilson.
Full house.
Yeah, I mean the ticket sales. I mean you say this with like a little bit of an asterisk, right? And they've sold everything out. It holds what?
14,000.
Yeah, so it's great. It's great they're selling it out, right? It's obviously.
I mean that's better than the Coliseum, right? I mean, what was that averaging?
So I completely agree. We haven't been there. We don't know what the setup is. It's obviously going to be very different than a Major League ballpark. It is a AAA facility, which they are kind of retrofitting to bring up to Major League standards. But the Coliseum got so bad,
yeah, sure did,
in the last couple of years that anything would be better than that. The fans were non-existent, which is not especially their fault. To have a packed ballpark of 14,000 will feel pretty refreshing for A's baseball, I would think. It's not coming the way that they're wanting it, obviously, for the fans back in Oakland, but it'll be a much better vibe in the building than what we've seen for a long time now at the Coliseum.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Strike 3 called. Down to Jen.
Well, you guys have called Luke Raley's name a couple of times in the last couple of innings, but would you ever call him Ben Affleck? I didn't think so. Ichiro does, however, and he said every time Ichiro greets him, he calls him Ben because each thinks he looks like Ben Affleck. I'm not sure that I see it, and I actually laughed so hard I had to apologize in the conversation. But maybe just kind of work it in, because if the future Hall of Famer says it, Aaron, it's got to be true.
Oh, you're taking it for sure.
What do you think?
Yeah,
I think he looks more. I think he looks more like Matt Damon.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. Yeah, Ben Affleck, that's a. All right.
Carpenter. Boy, carried a long way for a ball that sounded like he got it off the end of the bat. And Robles will toss a souvenir. Well, you know, Ichiro can call him whatever he wants. Julio is coming up. Cal Raleigh to follow. And then Randy Arozarena. Julio leading things off in the bottom of the 5th on his bobblehead night. The Julio backflip bobble. You can pick it up tomorrow and Wednesday as well. The first 10,000 fans. Day baseball on a Wednesday, getaway day for the Tigers. Mariners will have the next day off, and then it's a very quick road trip to San Francisco. Be part of their home opener, as that's called a strike to Julio.
You see the numbers from Brendan Hanifee. 1.84 ERA. 21 games, 95 to 98. Sinking fastball. The slider to go with it.
Well, if you're Jackson Jobe, you're probably a little disappointed you couldn't at least go 5 innings in this one tonight, given the fact that your lineup put so many runs on the board. Julio into the corner, and wow, did he make the catch? It's dropped, and McKinstry can't find it. Julio is racing to third, and he gets the stop sign there. It was in the glove of McKinstry, and then it must have popped out.
And we lost it as well from our angle. Another look right here. McKinstry bounced off the wall looking around.
Oh, the trap door ate it up.
Yeah. Right underneath that pad out there in right field. Julio cruised into third base. This would have been, looked like he had it just for a second. Rattled by that wall out there in the foul territory.
Glad he's back up on his feet, man. That was a nasty collision. It is a triple for Julio. His 6th career triple.
Doesn't even get a trainer out there to take a look, make sure it's okay. Still knocking the dirt out of his glove.
That's about the only way you can get a triple in this ballpark, by the way. It's not a triple friendly ballpark, to say the least. Need something wonky to happen. 0-2 on Cal. Mm, 97 down and in. That's a pitcher's pitch.
That's his big weapon, that sinking fastball. Get that up to 99 at times, especially the lefties starting at that hip.
.96 at the knees, trying to find a way to bring Julio home. Almost the same spot, 0-2. Randy's been aboard twice, a walk and a home run. Tell you what, you pop a home run here, and all of a sudden, it's a pretty interesting ball game.
Yeah, it's only the 5th inning.
Yeah, it's only basically a 3-0 game at that point.
It feels deeper just because, you know, Jackson Jobe's out of the game now. You go to that bullpen, only going 4 innings. Yeah, first start of his major league career, but lacking a bit of swing and miss. Around the low 20% whiff rate on that fastball. You're anticipating with that stuff that it's going to be lights out.
Tigers have a lefty warming up in their bullpen. Trying to bring home Julio from third base. And he chases out of the zone. So Hannafy, after giving up the triple, strikes out the next two.
Yeah, he's got that 96 mile/hour sinking fastball. He shows that slider as well. Sharp pitch, 88. Look at Hannafy, man. He had a big workload in August when he got called up last year. 16 2/3 innings in August. Was dealing at a 1.62. And then 12 2/3 in September. Big part of their bullpen this year.
More home runs than the Tigers bullpen would have liked to have given up in those 3 games against the Dodgers. It is the Dodgers. 1-0. This might be the last man for Hannafy. Lefty Tyler Holton warming up in the Tigers bullpen. A couple of lefty bats to follow if Polanco can reach. Out to right field. This is dropping in for a base hit. Julio scores. Polanco a wide turn, now retreats to first base. And the Mariners just keep chipping away at this Tigers lead. They've cut it in half. It's 8-4 Detroit.
They cut this lead in half all of a sudden. See what Polanco, hottest hitter in this lineup right now, gets that sinking fastball, just kind of stays up enough. Drives that ball into right field.
A.J. Hinch is going to call the lefty in. Tyler Holton is coming on to pitch. Well, the Mariners making some noise here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Tigers in front 8-4. Tonight's Allstate Good Hands replay. The home run swing from earlier tonight from Luke Raley.
Change up middle of the plate. Line drive into right field. Good to see him start to get going. I believe they know each other, Aaron. That replay. Get another look at it.
Let's see what Raley can do here left on left. 2 outs and Polanco at first. It's only the 5th inning. You've got Raley at the plate and Tellez, another lefty batter, on deck. Keeping Raley in here to face the lefty. I would imagine, Ryan, that if Raley reaches and keeps this inning alive, that it would be Garver to come on to hit for Tellez.
Yeah, good call. Raley right now staying out there, 189 against lefties.
Yeah, last year Raley had the most at-bats he's ever had in a single season against lefties. It still wasn't very many. As we know, he's been mostly a platoon player in his career. And this is something he's trying to get better at. He's in a tough spot here. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Able to lay off.
Yeah, it's kind of that next evolution. If you want to be an everyday player, whether it be first base, DH, show that you can take care of lefties. Tyler Holton had a really good year last year, sub-2 ERA.
The 2-2. Lays off again.
You can lay off that pitch right there. You're doing yourself all kinds of favors. Because as a lefty, when you face it, when you're left on left, when you don't get that bite, you know you have to get back inside the strike zone.
Wow, good take. Barely misses the strike zone, and Raley draws the left-on-left walk.
That's a really good at bat. That's a tough pitch to lay off. I talked about you don't get that chase with the slider, so Raley's like, all right, he's going to challenge me a little bit here, especially with 2 outs in this inning. But able to lay off that, that's a tough pitch to get you down and in like that.
It will be Tellez. There's only one other lefty in their bullpen, meaning that Tellez would see plenty more righties, you would imagine, or a chance to later in this game. Good take off the plate. Last year, Tellez did not see many lefties at all. He had just 40 at-bats left on left. Hit 200 with 2 home runs, 3 extra base hits in total. Close take. Raley and Tellez have laid off some very close pitches.
Holton giving up 153 batting average against lefties.
Tellez ahead, the 2-1.
That's a good take right there. Look, your eyes light up. It's a 2-1 count. So you think you can get something to hit, even if it is a breaking ball, most likely inside the strike zone.
Tying run is on deck. 2 outs, bottom of the 5th inning. 3-1. Swinging out of his shoes.
Again, talk about trying to be aggressive. I get it. 3-1, knowing you're going to get a fastball. The only fastball you're going to get right now is going to go back to that breaking ball. Try and get a chase.
Ground ball flattens out to second base. Keith to first, and the Mariners strand 2. A run does score, and after 5, it's 8-4 Tigers.
Mariners continue to chip away. It is 8-4 as we continue play here in the 5th inning. You saw Julio Rodriguez triple to lead off the bottom of the 4th, and you saw him come around to score. Aaron Goldsmith noted it is really hard to get a triple here at T-Mobile Park. Aaron, you are absolutely correct. There were the fewest triples hit here at T-Mobile Park than in any other ballpark in the major leagues last year. Gold star for you, my friend.
Wow.
Hey, listen, Jen, I had no idea. When you said that, I was like, really? I'm thinking to myself, I had no idea. It was a tough place to get a triple.
Wait, you're the one who slid me the don't, Ryan. What are you talking about? Vargas still out there.
I tried to act like I knew that, but I was like, oh, yeah.
Riley Green leading things off for the Tigers. Luke Raley stays with it, gets it done.
All right, then, Goldie. Which ballpark is the easiest?
Oh,
Get you a triple. We talking like what? Coors Field?
I was thinking Coors,
Kauffman,
Fenway,
Fenway. All right.
the triangle there.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Here's Torkelson. Coors has got to be the most cycle-friendly ballpark. Between the home runs and the triples.
Yeah, good
so
point.
spacious. And on his hands to JP from the cut of the grass. A couple of ground ball outs. 2 up and 2 down. When this one's over with, we'll have the Mariners post-game show presented by Emerald Queen Casino. Jen, Angie, and Brad will be with you. Here's Colt Keith. Vargas throwing a lot of strikes. Made quick work of the Tigers in the 5th. Chance to do the same here in the 6th. And the issue with Vargas over the years has been he's had some big stuff, but has had a hard time commanding it. Major league debut last year with Arizona. A couple of years ago. Keith to Arozarena with space. And the side sat down in order for the 2nd straight inning from Vargas. Nicely done. The opening week is brought to you by PNC Bank. First game of the series, Mariners and the Tigers from T-Mobile Park. Ryan Bliss leading things off. Pulls back a bunt, looks at ball one. 8-9-1 for the Mariners. If anybody reaches, Julio will bat this inning. Thinking bunt again. He bunts through it. Bliss has had a couple of nice plate appearances tonight. He walked his last time up.
Change up right there from Tyler Holton. He was one of those guys, Aaron, when Tigers were going down that stretch. And they went 31-12, one of their openers. Had that shortage of starting pitching. A.J. Hinch just had to kind of piece it all together. Keep him in the hunt.
Yeah, they had basically like two starting pitchers in the final stretch of last season.
Yeah, one of those. I mean, Jack Flaherty gave him up in a trade to the Dodgers.
Bliss strikes out, one away.
Win or lose, it's really about how you feed the game, right? Together, we bring more. Beef, it's what's for dinner.
Now, I will say it makes it maybe a little bit easier when one of those starting pitchers wins the Cy Young, when you have Tarik Skubal.
Yeah,
right now,
sure.
that doesn't make it easy nonetheless. You'd rather have a full rotation, obviously, but Skubal was absolutely dominant, the Seattle U product. We'll see him on Wednesday. He will pitch the finale.
Sure. No doubt we'll have some friends and family in the seats. But, I mean, there was even talks about, you know, slight talks about potentially trading him at the deadline because, you know, so many teams are after him. And then there were even talks, too, about essentially shutting him down at the end of the year. That's how far out they were. I mean, we talked about this in the Open. 10 games out of a playoff spot. Of course, they kept him going. And they didn't do the, remember CC Sabathia years ago when he was pitching on like short rest? They didn't do that with Tarik Skubal really at all. They just had to piece it together with Tyler Holton, a couple other members in that bullpen. A historic run.
We've seen some really close takes from the Mariners, specifically against these Tigers relievers. And that was another one right there from J.P. Crawford. He walks on 4 pitches. J.P. walked for the second time tonight.
I mean, we've seen, talk about the walk as well. We had 16 in the first 3 games against the Athletics, lead the American League.
There's Robles. Yeah, I'm curious what you think, though. The walks tonight, at least, feel a little bit different than what they generally were against the A's. The A's were kind of wildly effective, right? I mean, they had some guys that didn't always know where it was going. Some of the walks tonight, they've been very borderline really pitches that the Mariners have been able to take. Yeah,
and especially in some 3-2 counts as well, where they're laying off tough pitches. Like, it's a good point, Aaron. You know, the fact that pitch missing by just a couple inches. They're looking really comfortable. I mean, going back to Jackson Jobe as well, the starting pitcher. We talked about the whiff rate being low, much lower than what we were sort of anticipating. And that's a product of some really good at-bats from the Seattle Mariners. To get that big hit, that timely hit with traffic.
Robles fouls it away. Well, that's been an issue so far this year. It is only 4 games. But the Mariners have not hit well with runners in scoring position. Yesterday, although they won, thanks to Julio's late inning home run, they did not have an at-bat with a runner in scoring position. To Green. Make it now instead McKinstry in right field. 2 away. Join the Mariners for Salute to Armed Forces Night on Saturday, April 12th. As part of the evening celebration, the first 15,000 fans will take home this Mariners camo jersey thanks to Boeing. Mariners.com/tickets. Will Vest, the former Mariner, has been warming. Got a pitching change here in the 6th.
The Mariners trail 8-4. The last time Julio was at the plate, he tripled, which got us going down this kind of rabbit hole of easiest and hardest ballparks to triple at. We already know that T-Mobile Park is the hardest one to triple at. And here is the answer to Ryan's question. It is Chase Field with the most triples last year, 50. 42 were hit at Kauffman in Kansas City and 40 at Coors Field. So you got 2 of the top 3, guys. Nice job.
Chase Field. All right.
Chase, all right.
I'll remember that. Thank you, Jen. Julio back up here with Crawford at first. Will Vest, the former Mariner, with a fastball up and in. Heavy workload for Vest last year, nearly 70 appearances.
Here's a Mariner back in 2021. Found a home in Detroit. Last couple of years. Got some really good numbers last year. 1.94 ERA.
Vest, who famously as a child was neighbors with Scott Service,
Right.
former Mariners manager, and was hitting wiffle balls into Scott's backyard. And
Forgot about that.
then go on to be managed by Scott one day. Julio behind here, 1-2.
Boom.
.98 just up.
Four-seam fastball's that big weapon. Obviously the velocity, but the ride on that pitch.
2-2. Productive night so far for Julio. A triple, a run scored. He's driven in a run. Trying to keep the line moving here in the 6th inning. Mariners down by 4. He swings and misses, a breaking ball down, and Vest strikes out Julio to retire the side and strand J.P. Crawford at first base. Hancock in his season debut goes just 2/3 of an inning, 7 hits, 4 of them were hard hit.
Yeah, that was a rough one. Going back to Emerson Hancock, first start of the year. Wants to essentially prove he can be a part of this rotation. Obviously getting the opportunity because George Kirby's on the IL. A lot of soft contact, but then mixed in with some of these. Big home run left field to Riley Green.
Vargas back out there. Bliss from short right field plays that very well.
Let's see Vargas's reaction starting to get a little bit more comfortable. Again, we talk about the audition he's having tonight. Even in a blowout, someone is always paying attention. Look at that, 3 innings pitched, 2 punch outs, no walks.
Dingler's got a multi-hit night with a couple of RBIs and a run scored. Good pitch, but it's ruled ball 1.
It's a little bit different now. I guess it's kind of the same unless you're, you know, a huge prospect. But when you come up in the bullpen, like myself and a lot of my buddies who are coming up out of AAA.
Huge prospect, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Or not. But you come up and you have to obviously earn that high leverage situation. You're basically going to be a mop-up guy, or try and get some innings or whatever it is, and sort of prove that you can be worthy of getting that high leverage spot. It may take a while. But the biggest thing is if you're getting asked every time you walk back into that dugout and Dan Wilson looks in and said, "You good?" You say, "Yep, I'm good to go." You get back out there, get as many, just try and chew up as many of those innings as you can. And the next day around 4 o'clock when they say, "Hey, how's your arm?" It's great, even if you can't even pick up a baseball.
Inside the bag, fair, just past Polanco, and Dingler's got his 3rd hit. Rosarena gets to it quickly and holds him to a single.
Bad pitch right here, just stays inside his pitch and lines it down the left field line.
That snaps 8 in a row retired by Vargas. He took over in the 4th inning.
That's one reason why Bizarro, who's in this bullpen, gets so many opportunities, even if he goes back and forth a couple times to AAA, is just because he's so resilient. He can go multiple innings, he can be back out there if need be. Fill those spots up. And for Vargas, he's out of options right now.
Rosarena has it, come right to him. Sweeney kind of fought that one off. He's out number 2. Two outs, a runner at first base for Baez. Makes a big swing, and
there's that swing where he used to
Cal. That clipped Cal Raleigh a little bit.
I would surprise me with a huge backswing right there from Baez.
And they're giving him a little bit of time. I think it did. Ooh.
Off the forearm.
Oh. Just another day. Well, last year we saw Wilson Contreras of the Cardinals have his forearm broken.
Yeah.
On a backswing like that. Bliss out. Robles and Julio, and it falls in between the 3 of them, and Baez finds himself a Bermuda Triangle single.
Yeah, man, this is tough. Vargas, who makes a really good pitch right here, but you mentioned that Bermuda Triangle. You see Julio just kind of giving up on it. Probably no chance of getting it. No man's land right there.
Pete Woodworth coming out. Now getting back to Contreras and that follow-through swing. Last year when that happened to the Cardinals catcher, it really put a spotlight on the fact that so many catchers now are setting up closer.
That's right, yeah.
To have a better chance to frame pitches and present strikes. And so it's a little bit of a give and take, right? You want to be able to help your pitcher out and you want to do your job behind home plate. But if that were to ever happen to Cal Raleigh, it would be absolutely crushing to this team.
Oh, big time. Especially in a game like this, you're down by 4 runs early April. One swing take him out of the lineup.
Up and in at 96. StatCast powered by Google Cloud. A look at the runners. Dingler at third, Baez at first base. Funky swing and a miss there from Malloy. On the ground, Polanco, fair ball, tough play, long throw, and it brings Raley off the bag. Dingler scores from third, 9-4 Tigers.
And we talked about Polanco on the defense at third base, a new position for him. We talk about the arm strength as well. I mean, this is going to be a tough play regardless because Malloy can get down that line.
There you go, Cam.
Man. Testing that arm from Polanco.
You know, you bring up a good point. It's easy to pile on Polanco after some tough throws that we saw with not a lot on them at times. Although important to note, one that he skipped in the A series, it was intentional, something that Perry Hill talks about, and we see a lot of infielders do in certain circumstances. But he was so far in foul territory in that particular instance. I think even the Arenados of the world would have had a hard time with that one.
100%.
Carpenter out to Julio. Tigers get another run as we stretch. They are in front 9-4. Washington's lottery, and you can be out of here with a trip to spring training next year in sunny Arizona. Played today. And tonight, night 1 of 3 of the Julio Bat Flip Bobble. First 10,000 fans the next 2 nights can take it home. Wednesday day game. Brant Herter, the new pitcher, up on the mound. The other lefty in the Tigers bullpen.
Brant Herter, 2.58 ERA last year. Just the 45 innings pitched, 10 games.
Now, he is not a veteran pitcher by any means. This is his 12th ever major league appearance. He debuted last year, pitched in 10 games, making his second appearance of this season. He's got a couple of switch hitters to face, Cal Raleigh and Jorge Polanco, with Arozarena in the middle. Off the mound, on the ground, out to Keith. One away. Tonight's PNC Bank slow-mo moment. Randy Arozarena's second home run launched out to left field in the second inning.
Yeah, we've seen plenty more of that early on in this season. In his first full year as a Seattle Mariner. Over in that trade last year.
Down the right field line, a fair ball to the corner. Extra bases for Arozarena as he's into second base with a double. He's aboard for the third time. You know, we began the broadcast talking about how hard he has hit the ball with virtually nothing to show for it, and he has scalded the ball again tonight. He has homered, doubled, and also walked.
Yeah, this time to right field. First base hit. Matter of fact, first time any kind of hard contact to right field this year. Piece of hitting off the lefty.
Now both base hits, the home run and the double, both at 104 off the bat from Randy tonight. Here's Polanco. Well, this is setting up kind of interestingly, because we are back to the left-handed pocket for the Mariners after Polanco in Raley and Tellez, and Hinch is using his only other lefty. Dan Wilson stuck with both left-handed hitters to go left on left last time. Little lob shot. Might this drop? No, it's tracked down by Green for out number 2. Now this was back in the 5th when Holton came out. Now Raley drew the walk and Tellez grounded out. The Mariners stranded 2. So a somewhat rare night where Raley gets 2 at-bats against a lefty. Garver, Dylan Moore, and Solano, the right-handed bats on the bench. On the ground, and Baez knocks it down. Raley made some pretty good contact, but he is out by a step at first base for out number 3. That double from Arozarena left stranded. 9 for Tigers. Our Beacon Plumbing call to the pin. Pizzardo is on after a lengthy stay on the mound from Vargas, who went 3 2/3.
Yeah, good job by Vargas giving up that run, but you got Pizzardo, who, by the way, went back-to-back, multiple innings that second outing, and then day off, and now he's back out here. Could potentially throw 2 innings right here if the score stays the same. Again, a big reason why he's on this roster right now, opening day, early part of the season, is because he can chew up some of these innings.
Coming into tonight's game, the Tigers had among the most plate appearances so far this year in baseball with a runner in scoring position. They had the 6th most. Interestingly enough, they did not hit well at all. We mentioned that on opening day they went 0 for 15 at Dodger Stadium in those situations. They were hitting just 125 near the very bottom. So despite having all these opportunities, you can understand why the Tigers, if you look at it glass half full in that Dodgers series, they're saying, hey, we did not cash in, but we littered the base paths with traffic and just couldn't find that big hit. And tonight they've gone 6 for 13. So that has started to turn around, unfortunately, on the Mariners' watch. And you know that A.J. Hinch was thinking it's a matter of time.
Yeah, there's some damage to some of those Dodgers superstars, those pitchers. Rookie Sasaki.
This is on the button out to center, right to Julio.
Sasaki couldn't get through the second inning. Final game in Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, looking pretty emotional, Sasaki.
Yeah, oh yeah, getting booed by the home fans.
One down for Torkelson. Vargas's relief outing today of 3 2/3, the longest by a Mariner since Luke Weaver back in September of 23, when he went 4 1/3 in back of Trent Thornton, who opened that game, his only start as a Mariner. So Vargas certainly did his role tonight. Unfortunately, it came with the Mariners trailing as much as they were early. They trailed 6-0 before they even grabbed a bat tonight. A swing and a miss, chasing a good fastball just off the plate. 2 away. In honor of last year's historic season from Cal Raleigh, we've got the Cal Platinum Glove bobblehead as a 3-day giveaway. April 7th to the 9th when the Astros are in town. First 10,000 fans to each game. Mariners.com/tickets. On the edge for a strike to Colt Keith. Cal helping out right there, getting that call to strike. Into shallow left field. It dunks in for a base hit. Keith is aboard for the 4th time. A couple of walks and 2 base hits.
And Colt Keith, one of these young members of this Detroit Tigers team, signed that extension, that 6-year, $28 million extension. Could turn into 9 years, $82 million. His rookie year last year in 2024. I mean, we see more of that, especially from a position player standpoint. We just saw Cal get locked up. There was always that, I remember back in the day, it was like Evan Longoria was that, really early, well before, free agency, locking him up for a lower dollar amount. I feel like you see more and more of the star players in, not just superstars, but some of your core players where they're trying to take out the arbitration years and then just try and kick into some of those free agent years as well.
Well, the ultimate extension team is the Braves, right? With Riley and Olsen and Acuna and Albies. Mariners have had a number of extensions themselves, even some that are maybe more under the radar, like Andres Munoz. Randy going back on it and makes a squeeze with two hands and will find a fan. To the bottom of the 8th, Mariners trail. Root Sports is brought to you by Emerald Queen Casino. Rock and roll legend Don Felder comes to the Emerald Queen Casino April 17th. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. And by Jack in the Box. The smashed Jack is back with so much more beef. Roof closed at T-Mobile Park tonight. Bit of a cool evening. Opening game of the series, Mariners and the Tigers. Dylan Moore pinch hitting. He bats for Rowdy Tellez with the lefty still up on the mound. Herder's pitch, a strike. A check swing, he goes. Mariners are running out of outs in this one. They're down to their final 6 outs, trailing by 5 runs. Mariners came into this game tonight 2 of 19 on the season with runners in scoring position. They've got 1 for 9 tonight. As Dylan Moore strikes out.
Man, Dylan Moore getting that pinch hit. That bat right here, where tough one to come in. You're down by a boatload of runs. Saying you checked out mentally, but you're kind of sitting in that dugout, not thinking you're going to have a big spot, and you facing a tough lefty.
Ball one to Ryan Bliss. Keith at second base for out number 2. Generally speaking, the Mariners have not hurt for base runners tonight. And they were retired in order in the first inning by Jackson Jobe, the number 4 overall prospect in baseball, making his first ever major league start. He flashed a 99-mile-an-hour fastball in the first inning, but after that, the Mariners have had men on base every inning.
Yeah, they got the 1 in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Just felt like any time they were starting to get close to somewhat catching the Tigers, all of a sudden they put another run back on them.
Another ground ball right back to the mound and a lob to first to retire the side for Hanakyu in order for the first time since the first inning. After 8, Tigers in front. With Mariner Value Games, you can score tickets starting at $10 to select games at T-Mobile Park all season, including tomorrow and Wednesday's matchups against these Tigers. Mariners.com/value games to lock in your seats. Tigers in front 9-4. Bottom third of the order. Bizzardo back up on the mound.
And I can't help but look all game long, especially early on, to see if any of the opposing team, the hitters, are using one of these torpedo bats.
Have you spotted any?
No, I have not yet. That's all I've heard about. Every podcast I listen to around baseball, everyone talking about these bats, and the dude from MIT who created them is probably going to be a very rich man now, I'm sure, if he wasn't already.
All right, so the Reds throttled the Rangers tonight in Cincinnati on what looked like a bitter cold night. 14-3 was the final, and I bring that up because sensation Elly De La Cruz, as this finds Robles in right field. De La Cruz went 4 for 7, hyphen. The part 4 for 7. He went 4 for 5 with 7 RBIs.
Not with the bat.
He doubled. And he hit 2 home runs, and it was his first game using the torpedo.
You are kidding. Yikes.
So De La Cruz had the 2 farthest hit balls in the game, 418, 436. He had 2 of the top 5 EVs in the game, 107 and 110.
Which is kind of standard for him on most nights. I mean,
and 3 of the top 10, by the way. And okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. It's not like it's a quad A guy that they put the torpedo in his hand and he turns into Babe Ruth. As Terry Francona said after the game, I think it's more player than bat.
Of course.
But I think the player will be using that bat tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. And his teammates. 8 other hitters in that lineup potentially.
I mean, it's funny, Aaron Judge, who had, of course, all this came out from the Yankees game when they hit 20 home runs. Judge hit 20, so he scored 20 runs. They hit 9 home runs. Judge hit a third of the home runs that day using just a regular old bat.
A regular boring old bat. Okay.
And he said, hey, I've done all right without the torpedo bat. I'm going to stick with what I've been using. So it's not for everybody.
See, he gets a pass. He's good. He doesn't need it. Well, I know the Rockies have already put their order in. Talking to some people in that system.
The Braves have ordered some already, Aaron.
Yeah.
Word is spreading quickly.
Apparently.
Just beyond Bliss's range. Sweeney is aboard. All right, for those of you maybe not familiar with the torpedo bat, this was Jazz Chisholm the other day. So what they've basically done, right, they have moved the barrel, the sweet spot, further towards the label, closer down to the hands. And this is Anthony Volpe, and he was one of the real kind of lab rats for this, because they discovered that Volpe consistently was making contact on the label, so closer to the hands than what is optimal, and was not regularly finding the sweet spot. So they decided, can we just move that down a little bit and make the bat harder and bigger in an area closer to where he regularly makes contact with the ball. And it is a legal bat. The league has already commented on it. There is no problem with this. If every player wanted to use them tomorrow, that'd be fine.
Right. I mean, fair enough. You know, pitching's had a bunch of technology and all different things happening in the last essentially half a decade. But, you know, look, Little League season starting. Young Jackson Goldsmith.
Get those torpedoes out there.
Yeah, how long until?
Everybody needs them. Let's get the aluminum version.
That's right.
2-1 on Baez with 1 out and 1 on. He sends this on a line to center. It's the 18th hit for the Tigers. You know, this is the thing, though, you bring up with all the advancements in technology on the pitching side. There's been almost nothing substantial to counter with the hitting.
Yeah.
Now, there's the Traject system, which the Mariners have and a number of other major league teams have as well, which completely mimics the release of the pitcher that you're going to face that night. It's a projection screen, and if you're facing Max Scherzer, man, that's Max Scherzer right there, and it's as good of a real life look as you'll have unless you stand in the box. But
well, and not to mention too, the ball behaves just like Max Scherzer. So Max Scherzer's 2350 RPM on average fastball with 97, whatever. Then that's what you're going to get from the exact arm slot from Max Scherzer, not just the projection, which is pretty amazing to see that. But no, you're right. I mean, he needs to get caught up. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's a great interview with former Mariner reliever Mark Lowe that I heard a number of years ago, and our good friend Gary Hill did the interview. And this, to me, is what is the difference between when Mark was pitching, which wasn't that long ago, and pitching today. He said, I would go into the winter and I would want to develop a new pitch. Let's say it's a curveball, and I would work all winter long finding my grip, my release, throwing it in side sessions, and then I get to spring training all excited about my new curveball, and I'd get on the mound, and in my first game, whack, whack, whack. Right? Well, I guess that's no good.
Yeah.
Right? There was no way to know until you took it into live action. Chance for 2 in time to get Malloy, and now Bryce Miller, all of his data is on a TrackMan, and he sends it to TrimpLink, and they can know exactly what it looks like.
Off you go. That's right.
Bottom of the ninth, Mariners down to their final 3 outs. Tonight's T-Mobile coverage cam gives us a better look at Luke Raley's first home run this year. One of 2 Mariner home runs tonight. Arozarena the other. Raley's been aboard 3 times tonight. A couple of walks and that home run. Victor Robles as the Mariners open up the bottom of the 9th. That's called a strike. Yeah, but to wrap it up, we were talking about Mark Lowe. The point is that now, if you are a pitcher, you know this better than anyone, Ryan, and you're training in the offseason, you know how every pitch reacts. You know exactly how this will play at the major league level, and it was not that long ago where you're just kind of in the dark trying to figure out how it'll be.
I mean, even this too, and this was like kind of like a real new thing. I mean, I'm talking, 2012, 2013. Even before then, you would throw bullpen sessions with no radar gun. You're just basically out working on stuff. Now you can barely throw a bullpen without every pitch being clocked. I remember, working out with Tom House towards the latter part of my career. I started getting into weighted ball training. This is when, it was taboo. You had to go sneak off to go do it because, you'd have a pitching coordinator or pitching coach telling you you're going to blow your arm out if you're doing that, hocus pocus. Now it's just a known thing. But I remember then, working with Tom, they had the radar gun every pitch I threw, and it kept you kind of accountable because, hey, you're trying to get your velocity back. And it was huge. And now every bullpen you see, obviously not just the velocity, but every pitch is tracked. I was watching the Mariners throwing their bullpen sessions out here. You got the track man out there every single time they throw a pitch.
Julio up the middle into center field. Julio's got a multi-hit night.
Mind you, though, Mark Lowe, former teammate of mine and still a good friend of mine, but he had, electric stuff. Got to the big leagues, hitting upper 90s. Not that filthy slider of his. He wasn't trying to develop a curveball. What's he trying to do? He didn't need that.
Here is Cal Raleigh. 1 out, 1 on. Bottom of the 9th inning. Bryce Miller's talked about how he has utilized the Edgertronic cameras. And if there is
high-speed cameras,
a pitch that he especially likes from another pitcher, could be for somebody from the other team, that he can find a close-up picture of that pitcher's grip so that he can mimic the grip exactly.
Yeah, it's
Hyphen, you could have been an all-star with this stuff.
I say this every day when I wake up. I could have been throwing 100, making all-star teams.
Cal Raleigh out to left field. Does it have enough? At the wall. Gone. A home run for Cal Raleigh. His first this year.
Hey, we'll take it. First one of the year. A little hanging breaking ball. He nearly took Jackson Jobe deep on that fastball up in the strike zone early in this game. After a slow start, Cal Raleigh, but all of a sudden in the home run column, good to see.
Three home runs tonight for the Mariners, trailing by 3. AJ Hinch has to get his bullpen going now. He's getting Tommy Kahnle up. One of his more leverage arms. Things have gotten a little interesting.
I mean, we've said this a couple times in this game, Goldie, where all of a sudden it's 9-6. Sneak a run across, get some base runners. Starts to get interesting. However, we've said this a few times tonight. I mean, it is the 9th inning.
Chris Fetter, the Tigers pitching coach, is out. Back to Cal's home run.
A little hanging breaking ball. So something up, out over the plate. It's a moonshot into Edgars. Couple spilt beers out there. No worries.
Uh-oh, uh-oh. Oh, and you're not even close to the ball. That's the other problem.
Yeah, Cougs.
Lost your beverage and didn't get the ball. But hey, we're all happy for that guy. 3-0. Randy walking away, takes a strike. Walking away again, takes a strike. Full count. Polanco on deck. Waves and misses at a pitch way outside. And the Mariners now down to their final out.
Yeah, Randy. This one guy sees a ton of pitches per at bat, but the pitch right before this was something he could definitely handle, especially pull hitter like the way he is. And he guys chases that strike 3.
Some long relief for Herder here, trying to get the final out. It's up to Jorge Polanco. Strike 1. Strike 2. Mariners down to their final strike tonight. Line to Baez for out number 3 on a night where the Mariners had some good things happen offensively. They just simply got put in too big of a hole too early.
Yeah, Emerson Hancock